This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors who make this content possible. Thank you for your support.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Let's Connect Now. Now, I hope you guys are enjoying the previous episodes because every week we are putting out some really good episodes. And it's actually 2 episodes a week, Monday at 7 a.m. and Wednesday at 7 a.m.
Yes, so let these audience know about the Wednesday.
So Wednesday, yes, it's with another co-host of ours. We have Valerie Rivas, who she brings on a lot of great guests because she's always networking out there at events. And in the guests that she's bringing on, it's all about business and business resources. That's why it's called Your Business Resource. Yes. So every Wednesday, 7 a.m., get connected with that as well. It's amazing.
But all of our episodes are, wouldn't be possible without the help of our sponsors. So we're really, really thankful to Med Spa Deluxe LA, Massage Envy, West Covina, and Diamond Bar.
We also got Munoz and Munoz Attorneys at Law, grocery outlet right here in the city of West Covina. And we also got Prospectors Federal Credit Union, a division by Certified Federal as well.
Very good,
yes.
JR, you got it.
End scene. No, I'm saying, no, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got a very special guest. We flew him in all the way from City of Commerce. We got the mayor in the house. So we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Michael.
I'm Ralph.
Welcome to Munoz and Munoz.
Come check it out. Here at Munoz and Munoz, every case is important to us. Big or small, small or big, we're here to help you.
And here also, privacy is our #1 priority for all of our clients. So come check it out. Our #1 priority is serving the community. We want to give the best attorney service out there in the industry. We're here to help you. Please call us for any personal injury or criminal defense needs that you may need.
So thank you guys for visiting our firm. As you can see, I'm here, Michael's here, always ready to serve you guys for any questions. And please, do not hesitate to call us for anything you need. It could be the simple question, we're here for you. Y sí, hablamos.
Shoulders, knees, and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And eyes and cheeks and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
Affordable self-care from professional massage therapists and estheticians. It's what we do. Massage Envy, where better begins.
Hey everybody, I hope you guys are enjoying the show with Let's Connect Now. My name is Danielle Wood. I'm with Prospectors Federal Credit Union, a division of Certified Federal. You guys want to contact us regarding any banking needs or even auto loans and personal loans, feel free to contact me at any time. You can reach me at 909-396-9688 or 909-504-7371. I'm looking forward to talking and speaking with you all soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, welcome back. So we have a very special guest. Like I said, we flew him all the way in. The helicopter came in. It landed on Plaza West Covina. I mean, everyone was like, what's going on? Upper parking lot area. Yeah, we had to get cleared for him and stuff. And then I was like, whoa. The way he's dressed, I just love it. I had if the stores weren't open, I would have had to go get me a suit right now. I'm not lying.
You really would.
I know I would too because I have to match my guests.
You're like, can GWC pay for it?
So who do we have?
Today we have the mayor, like you said, the mayor of City of Commerce, Mayor Ivan Altamirano.
Yes, welcome. And as you guys can see, look at him, man. He looks amazing.
Well, I gotta, you know what? It's Art Lewin. Have you guys heard of Art Lewin?
No.
He's in downtown LA. He also has a place in Newport Beach and in Beverly Hills. This guy is pretty remarkable with his suits. If you ever get a suit, then I'd recommend going to him.
No, I love it. Look at and then I love the fact that you have the shoes and all the way up too, man.
I know.
I get it.
He outdressed you today, and you thought you were all dressed up.
I know. I should at least tuck my shirt in.
And I wanted to say, thank you for flying me in, not in a helicopter, However, in the Millennium Falcon, the Star Wars one, it was like a pretty cool ride.
Yeah.
It was like poof, this fast. I was like, what? That's
Right?
it? It's
See?
over? It's
Told
not-
you. Yes.
Like Disneyland. It's the ride's over already? What? Got to get back in line? So, but I'm glad that, you're going to give me a ride back home and drop me off.
It was only
But-
one way. Sorry.
Yeah, if it was Star Trek, you beat me back and forth. I don't want to do that. I want to go on the Millennium Falcon. So thank you for that.
No, but thank you too for coming on. I mean, I met you at an amazing event, at an amazing event, and we were all there. And what hit me the most was your testimony. Was your story when you were up there, and you said, from what was some of the slogans you were saying?
So I was up there for like 30 seconds, right? And
But it caught me.
And I think what's very powerful is I think that the words that have been coming out of my mouth is it's all like through faith, like through God. Like I am a true believer and that God helps me, supports me, is using me as a purpose. But what I said that day is, I'm from the hood to doing good. I went to a continuation school when I was a junior, and I went from veil to jail, and today I prevail.
Yes.
My wife threw that one in, the prevail, and also from juvenile hall to city hall. And that's the things I said before I started to speak into who the sheriff was and that I was supporting him.
It really caught my eye, though, when you said that, because I find it very interesting that people, can have a past, but little do you know that past molded you into something very positive, which was a beautiful thing to. The more I get to know you, the more I actually admire your story, and I'm glad that you're sharing it in the way that it's like motivating.
And I always tell people, and I've had many mentors, but your past doesn't equal your future.
No.
That's right.
But also understand that I have these conversations with myself, which everybody does, and I struggle sometimes asking myself, what if my past was different? What if I went to universities? What if I went to colleges and had a different experience? But then, who would I be?
Right.
Would I be the person I am today? So then I just would not give up my past for who I am today.
No, and I love that because is there times because even getting to where the business that we're in right now, we're a business association. We do Let's Connect now, and sometimes looking a certain way and coming from, like you said, having a certain background. Has there ever been a moment where you did not want to share that because you felt that they would look at you a certain way?
Growing up, there was a period of time where I thought everybody went through what I went through. But then there was a long period of time that I was intimidated by being around people that are doctors or business owners or went to universities. And for me, where I dropped out of high school as a junior at 17 years old, now I don't think I was ever intimidated or embarrassed to share my story because I thought that others had went through a similar story, especially people that grew up around the same time frame that I did in the 80s and 90s when it was gang infested in these neighborhoods.
Right.
But I lived in a bubble in a smaller city, and I thought everybody went through what I went through. But later in life, I found out that they didn't, and I started to realize that my story was impacting people's lives.
No, and I love your statement from juvenile hall to city hall.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I love that. That should just be a shirt right there. But yes, I read your bio that was on on the city website and stuff, and it said that you were involved in gangs and certain things. But at what point, a pivotal point in your life, where you was like, you know what, I need to change?
Well, when I was, I'm glad that I had amazing parents that instilled purpose and value and really. And I remember my dad always telling me, when you start to go to school, you're going to have a lot of friends, and some of them are going to offer drugs to you, and they're going to ask you to get in gangs, and I'm going to tell you, they're not your friends. don't do it. So that always stuck in my head. And then my grandfather as well. I was blessed and lucky to be able to grow up next door to him, which he was a Marine and served in World War II in Guadalcanal, Pacific Island. He also served in Vietnam and also in Korea. In order: World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Wow. And yeah, so I didn't want to get into a gang, and all my friends that grew up in the same street and that I was going to school with, were all joining when they were like 14, 15 years old, and I was going to a public school till I think second grade, called Rosewood Elementary. Then from there, my parents sent me to a private school, St. Alfonso's in East Los Angeles, which it was a completely different education there. But I begged my parents to pull me out and allow me to go to public school 1 year. It was my either fifth grade or sixth grade that I went to public school 1 year, and I met a lot more people there, and it just was completely different. Then my parents pulled me back out because they realized, you know what, I'm not doing that well, and they put me back into the private school. And then from private school, I begged my parents to let me go to public school, at Bell Gardens High School, and I did go there, and then I got in a gang. I got in a gang. It was gang infested, and I got in so many problems there, fighting, and it just became ridiculous. And my parents pulled me out, and they sent me to another high school in Whittier, which that's where I have a family in Whittier as well. So I went to Pioneer High School for 1 year, joined wrestling. I was doing well, and I joined karate like at 13 years old, so I was still in karate, and I'd go to tournaments, go fight places, and I was pretty good at the karate thing to defend myself. And then that was gang infested as well, and I was hanging out with gangs, but I was from a gang from East Los Angeles Commerce area, so I got along with everybody, but I just started to slack there as well. So then I got out of there and I went to Vale High School, which is a continuation school, and that was also gang infested. It was a lot of kids that were in gangs, but also in trouble. And I think the education system, there's something wrong with it. We're just trying to teach the same thing to everybody, and everybody gets to learn different. But I don't have it figured out. Leave that to the people that are in the education industry, right, or politicians. I've been through a whole lot. I mean, I've been shot at, I've been stabbed, I seen my friends die in front of me. One of my friends got shot in front of City Hall, and I grew up right in front of City Hall, like right across the street. So. Wow. It became to a point where I couldn't walk out of my house without the sheriffs grabbing me or me having to watch my back all the time. I'd walk out of my house and right away the sheriffs would get me, throw me on their hood, and they were completely different than they are today. I mean, they had 2 sheriffs per car, but it took a little while for the sheriffs to start to really treat me in that way, because when they would catch us in the park and there'd be 10 of us, 20 of us, whatever it was, even 5 of us, they would stop. Even sometimes it was, in the middle of the night. Like, what are you doing in the middle of the night as a kid, right? 15, 16, 17 years old. They used to get me, put me in the back of the car and take me home, and then knock on my door and tell my parents he does not belong with them. And also City Hall. There was a director there. His name is Robert Chavez, and community services director, and he really would be on top of me with the other employees as well about, hey, you need to straighten your life out. You need to straighten your life out. Get out of this gang. Get out of this gang. And I still kind of just felt lost. I felt like I needed to belong to something, and I also got in because I didn't want my sister or my brother to get involved with gangs. So I was there and making sure I was protecting not only my city but my parent. I mean my family. But it came to the point where I really started to look around me and ask myself, do I really want to live this way? I mean, I was 17 years old. I seen death. I've been stabbed. I've been shot at, and I looked around and I said, wow, all the 30-year-olds they're doing heroin, and they're doing what they used to call PCP and dust and all these drugs, and I would only drink. I was drinking with them, but I never did drugs, and people would try to peer pressure me, do this, but I just never did it, because I remember what the seed that my dad planted in me, never to do drugs, and for some reason they're like stuck on me. And so I really just wanted to do something better for my life, and I started. I ended up having my first kid was born at 17 years old, and I really started to take a look at my life there, and I was like, wow, like, what am I going to do? I mean, my kids are going to grow up this way, and then I would try to get a job, and then the city they offered this like youth program that would give you a job during the summer. Well, the first year when I was 15, I worked with the kids at the Parks and Rec. It was all fun. It was cool. Then I got into a gang. Then they said, hey, we're not going to put you with the kids anymore. You're a danger. And they put me with the like the maintenance crew, the painters, when I was 16 and 17 years old. Yeah. And all those guys, they were part of the gang, and they were older than I, maybe 40 or 30s, and so I was around them there, and I met some of their wives, like the lead painter. His name is Carlitos. His wife used to come, and we used to have a picnic. We used to eat together at the park during lunchtime. So like she fell in love with me, and she was just like, hey, I really want to protect you, right? So her husband was like, Ivan, what do you want to do with your life? And I just said, man, I want to do something big. I don't know what I want to do, but I want to go back to school. I know I was working for a company called Labor Ready. So one of those
I heard Labor Ready.
I was getting paid like $4.25 an hour. Like that was minimum wage back then. And everybody there were some. I was 18. Some were in their 30s or 40s, their 50s, 60s, and they were working there. And I was wondering you're like 60 or 50. Why are you here at minimum wage? And they would tell me their story about, hey, I got caught at a DUI, and I used to be an electrician making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Now I'm making $4.25 an hour. Well, I heard all these stories. So I really wanted to do something different. But at 17, when my kid was born, I was on probation already, because when I was like 15, my friend stole a car. I got caught for joyriding, so they put me on 1 year probation. I got in a fight at Vail High School, and because I was on probation, they arrested me in the classroom, and they took me straight to juvenile hall. So I dropped out of high school. I was going to school there, but when I got out, I didn't want to go back to school. But I was still out there causing problems, right? So I just. I chose something different, and I just remember my dad, when I was 19 years old, he said, I was still living at his house, and he said, you know what, I'm going to give you 3 choices. He said, go to school, and I'll pay for it, or get a job, or get the teeth out. And I was like, whoa, that was like a reality check, I think, right there. So I ended up going to school. I went to LA Trade Tech, and I went for air conditioning and heating. I went there for 2 years, and I went to Rio Hondo College. I got my AS degree, and I got my certificate for air conditioning stuff. And then I got a job for air conditioning stuff, which, man, that's a good trade to get into. I'm blessed that my dad pushed me in that direction. And later starting my own air conditioning business. And
oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I started my own air conditioning business. But during that whole process of me being able to kind of disconnect, it's something clicked in my head that I want something better for myself.
That's great.
Yeah,
I read something on your bio that really caught my eye, because a lot of us, we do have those mentors, during our growing up years, and you give a lot of credit to your karate instructor, Mr. Gaspar.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. How? Because I know you give a lot of credit to him, and so that must mean something to you.
Mr. Gaspar, he passed away. Mr. Gaspar passed away probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. He was my sensei, and I'm getting a little teary, sorry, because he kicked me out of karate. He kicked me out. So I used to go fight in Hawaii and Arizona. I used to win first place everywhere I went.
Were you black belt?
No, I got out right before I became a black belt because what I started hearing was I had to sign this paperwork saying that I was going to be a lethal weapon. And I already knew the problems I was creating. So I said, hey, I can't do this, right? So what I continue, once I reached a certain level, I continued to just train, but I never went to increase the status of my belt because I was afraid that that something was going to happen because I was always in survival mode fighting out in the streets and. I didn't want to end up in prison or something like that. So, but Mr. Gaspar, he taught me respect. He taught me a lot of respect, and I had tremendous respect for this man. And later, when I got out of the gang, he then invited me back into his dojo, and I got back into karate. So I was there. I was there for a while. But I remember the last time I fought in the karate, one of the karate in the classroom. I brought my daughter with me so she could join. And one of her friends, I think my daughter was probably like 13 years old and she's 28 today, but she was like 13, maybe 14. And her friend, they put me to spar with her friend, like just a fight. I threw a kick and she blocked it and broke my toe.
No!
My pinky toe was pointing that way. Now, I felt the pain and I heard and everybody stopped, but I didn't look down. I just was pretending nothing happened. And she stopped. Everybody stopped. They were all looking at my toe. And I looked down at my toe. I was like, oh, my God. It was pointing that way. I had to yank it. It was broken.
Oh, man.
And I decided to not be in karate. Or if I'm going to be in karate, I will train, but I am not going to fight.
I'm not gonna fight yet.
But God bless these souls, that change our lives, right? Obviously, you have, you get emotional over, just mentioning his name and thinking about him, and that's beautiful, right? Because he shaped you, he helped you, even though in the back of your mind you were still, answering to the pressures that you had on the outside, but yet you had such great mentors in your life that you now feel like, oh my God, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
And he taught me, I learned a lot of valuable lessons from him. I remember as a kid, I was probably 13, and I wish I had his patience and who he is. And I get to practice every day, right? But I remember we would get out at 9 o'clock at night, and I mean we would go to tournaments everywhere. They'd go everywhere, all over the world, and it was called Kenjutsu Ryu. That's the type of karate. It was a Japanese karate. But I remember we walked out as a class, and my mom. I used to live right across the street from City Hall, and that's where it was. So my mom used to come pick me up. My mom came to pick me up, and everybody used to walk each other out, and they used to get in their cars and leave. But I remember there was like another karate foundation or federation there, which I have no idea who they were, but they were older men. I mean, I was 13, 14. These guys were like in their 30s, and so was my sensei. And they wanted to fight my sensei. They were challenging
like the Karate Kid movie?
Yeah, it was like that. It was like that. And it was probably about 5 of them. And I don't know, something must have happened in a tournament or something because they were challenging him and they were drunk too. I remember they were drunk. And my karate teacher was saying, no, this isn't, no. And they kept antagonizing him and he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't fight.
Wow.
And so I honor him for his patience because for me, I grew up different. Like someone challenged me like that. After a while, I react, but he would respond, right? And in today's world, I'm 51 years old, and I've learned to respond versus react. And so in many ways, he still teaches me today from the things he would tell me and teach us, and I think it was good.
But I know what I love the fact is that when you go to different cities, and stuff, because I grew up in, right here in La Puente as well, and in gangs and stuff, and everybody, the gangs say, they run the cities and stuff, but it's like your story is that, from gangs, and then you are like now the mayor. Where a lot of people say, no, I'm the mayor of this city, but you are literally the mayor of your city. And is there a point where is there people still in certain roles or police officers that maybe recognize you and say, "Oh my God, dude, I knew you, and now you're in this"? Like, has there been those?
They must be really older. Like,
I know they're really older, but it has to be. Is there anybody maybe?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Oh, yeah,
Yes.
there's people, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people. When I first got into City Hall, there was still the staff there, including Robert Chavez, that were part of seeing me grow up and part of trying to get me out of gangs, and. I still have sheriffs that are retired sheriffs that still contact me.
Wow.
That follow me on Facebook and are always writing stuff. Like I posted a video of the past of these pictures I just recently found, and I'll tell you how I found them or why. But they're pictures of my past when I was a gang member, bald and stuff like that. And the reason why all that came up was because 2 weeks ago I was fortunate they gave me a tour of Eastlake Juvenile Hall, and that just brought up so many memories, and I was like, whoa, I never thought I'd come back and walk this area and sit down where I was. And I knew where exactly I was, what cell they kept moving me to. Because it was scary, and it was the first time I ever faced racism in there. But I posted on Facebook, and one of the sheriffs that's retired said, "Ivan the Terrible," But the same retired sheriff, when I have big events and I feel like, I need some security around me, and I hire them that used to chase me when I was a kid. Now they're
protecting
around me,
Yes,
protecting me, and I pay them well and then they're happy about that because I want to take care of them the way they took care of me growing up. Even though sometimes they were a little rough, but they still were trying to be mentors and give me enough or give me direction, like to how to get out, what to do, where my life is going to be in the future. So,
but how ironic that a lot of your life, your past life, was right in front of City Hall. How ironic is that? I'm thinking about
like
it
a
right
calling,
now.
right?
And it was like your stories is that my sensei, they're picking a fight. We're in front of City Hall, and where you used to hang out, and then the people that you met there when you did your community service. It's amazing, and now you're there.
Yeah,
and now you're there.
And there's one. I go to conferences as well with all the elected politicians, and there's one that she's works for the fire department, and I don't know exactly her position, but I think she's some sort of government affairs, and she was there. She was a tough woman. When I was 15, she set us up, and I tell her all the time, "You set us up," because she would say, "Ivan, meet me at the park at this time with your friends. I really want to talk to you guys." Her name is Rosa Rivero, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool." We would show up, the sheriffs would show up, grab us. They would put us against the wall, take pictures of us, but yet today I see her a few times a year, but there's one certain conference that I see her in Indian Wells, and I mean there's hundreds of people there, and she loves to say, "Hey guys, come here. Oh, let me tell you about this travieso." So she loves to tell my story. Like, she loves it, but she's part of the community that wanted me to do better.
I love that, man. I love that.
So now in the position that you're in of influence, I mean, do you feel that you want to influence and talk about your story to other kids, perhaps at the center that you went back to, the juvenile hall that you went to go visit?
So walking away from the juvenile hall 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, one of my staff members that was with me said, "Ivan, like, you have a powerful story, and you should create a program where we get our kids and take them into Eastlake." And one of the staff members from Eastlake said, "Oh no, we don't do that." Now another staff member, I think was a little higher up, heard my story that day and was impressed that I went from juvenile hall to City Hall, that I used to tag my names on the walls, but now it comes out on plaques around the city, right?
Yeah.
And that person said, "I can arrange that and make that happen." So I'm going to do that.
That's wonderful, because I think you your story could change. When kids see that, they're like, you give them hope. And not a lot of people want to invest in these kids, and that's what bothers us, as human beings. And because I took JR one day, because I was chosen to be principal for a day, and we went to a continuation, high school, and a lot of those kids that we saw there, I felt intimidated. I'm gonna be honest. I felt very intimidated. But then when I took JR and JR spoke to them about a little bit about himself, the kids were like really in tune with JR more so than were with me. Like they didn't care about me, but they cared a lot about his story and the things that he shared. And it was wonderful to see. So I think, you know, when you speak to them and you speak to them at their level and you tell them I've been there, you could be changing that. I think with your Christianity too, in your faith, you could change a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, you know, it's odd that I am going to start to talk to the youth. I am, and lately I've had people reach out to me on Facebook and phone calls and text messages if I'm willing to talk to their sons or kids or a group of class or a group of teenagers, and I respond yes. But you know what's unique is that the majority of the people that want to hear my story are adults.
Wow.
And not only because of juvenile hall to city hall, but how things come into play in my life. Like one of my mentors, Les Brown, he's one of the top speakers in the world. He's up there with Tony Robbins. Have you guys heard of Les Brown?
Brown. That's your friend?
Brown, huh?
He's your friend?
He's my mentor.
Wow.
Yeah, so people know about my story about like juvenile hall to city hall, from the hood doing good, or bail to jail, all that stuff, because they heard my story about meeting Les Brown in 2000. If I'm can I share?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah. Now in 2000, I started. Okay, I read a book. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Good book.
And I read that book, and I read this other book called The Science of Getting Rich, and then I started reading Think and Grow Rich. I started to listen to Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, and I had never heard of Les Brown, and that was I didn't hear of him till 2008, but I was with Tony, like listening to Tony Robbins on that in 2003, 4, 5, and in 2005 when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, 2 weeks later I quit my job. I mean,
It motivated you that much.
That inspired me and moved me. So I quit my job without really thinking about what am I going to do. And I quit in October 2005 when the air conditioning industry, you're not going to call me for air conditioning in October, right? It's the heating season. I mean, I work on furnaces as well, but I quit, and I was just so moved that, I mean, I quit with like $30 in my bank account, dude, okay? And I couldn't even afford Christmas presents that year for my kids, not even a cup of coffee after a while. I thought I was going to like fail. But starting from 2006, January to December, I brought in like $1 million by myself.
Wow.
And then I started to then hire people. I started to buy a bunch of vans in 2006. Then went the same for me, brought in a lot of money, and 2007, and then I started to be irresponsible about my money. I started to buy cars. I bought 2 boats. I bought a house in Las Vegas. I bought a duplex in Congress. I bought my house. I just started to really do things that I should have went to a mentor that helps me manage my money. Then I started to ignore my business, and I allowed like my employees out in the field run the business, and that was a mistake. Then I would say the economy hit. The economy hit. And what happened? What happened was I lost my boats. I lost my car. I lost a lot of my trucks that they repossessed. Everything was getting repossessed. They foreclosed I foreclosed on my house in Las Vegas, and my house that I live in went into foreclosure, and the duplex went into foreclosure, and my bank accounts were frozen. And because the contractors out there owed me money, and I owed vendors money, and I couldn't pay them because they weren't paying me. So I was like, whoa, this is crazy. So after a while, what ended up happening was my friend invited me to an event to listen to a speaker. Now I was like, why am I going to go? I can't even afford gas right now. But I went, and it was Les Brown, and that was 2008. and he gave a speech. And I remember it was December of 2008. He gave a speech, and there was like 300-400 people there, and everybody was impressed. I sat in the back because I was kind of like, just like depressed and back there. But what ended up happening was he left the stage, and then he went back up. And when he went back up, he grabbed the microphone and he paced back and forth looking at the crowd. And he said, there's somebody here that I need to connect with. There's somebody here that I will connect with. I promise. And put the mic back down and left. Now I said, whoa, that guy's talking to me. I got up, but all 300 got up too. I said, whoa, wait, everybody thinks. So that day I got to take a picture with him. I bought some CDs from him. I listened to him. I couldn't really talk to him. I listened to CDs every single day. And I was doing a lot of transformational work on myself, a lot of work. Then I remember getting home one day and my house was empty. The house, my house, and with my kids, I have 3 kids. I have a 34-year-old, a 28-year-old, and right now a 21-year-old. And I was living with both my kids and my ex, and she emptied my house and left. And I was like, whoa. All I had was a TV mounted on my wall and a camping chair that I had in my garage.
Wow.
It was pretty bad. And imagine coming home seeing all that, right?
Yeah.
So then what I did, I started to just listen to Les Brown every day, watch him, the videos and everything I got. And I said, you know what? I'm going to share the stage with Les Brown. That's the only way I'm going to get out of this, if I share the stage with Les Brown. Now, a lot of people will say that's impossible. How is that going to happen? You never did it. Well, guess what happened? I went looking for Les Brown, and I gave him a business card, my air conditioning business card, and I was with my sister, and I gave it. No. First, I wrote my phone number, and I gave it to him, and he was talking to somebody, so he put it in his pocket, and we left. I told my sister, yes, he's going to call me. And she said, that's so unprofessional. You write your phone number? Why don't you give him a business card? I said, oh, because I left him in my car. But you're right. Let's go to my car. So I got 2 business cards. I got my air conditioning business credit card. Business card. And then my second one, I went to these courses it was like a whole year thing to become a certified breakthrough life coach. So I had that business card as well. So then I went up to him, gave my AC business card, walked away. I waited like 10 minutes. I walked up to him. Hi, Les Brown. My name is Ivan. Bye. I gave him my third point of contact, and my sister said, "You're a stalker." I said, "No, man. I'm gonna share the stage with him."
Wow!
And this was in April of 2009. Then Les Brown ended up calling me in June, and he called me in June of 2009. And he called me in June. I would say it was probably around 12 a.m., 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was a 702 number. And that's a Vegas phone number. And I was like, oh, my God, my collectors are calling me at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's the house. I have a house in Vegas. I was like, I'm not going to answer that. So I didn't answer it. And he left a message. And his message was, hey, Ivan, this is Les Brown. I can't sleep. God has pressed upon my mind to call you. I don't know why, but you need to call me back. And I said, whoa, I called him back. Les Brown? Yes, this is Les Brown.
Right.
He's like,
wow.
He's like, I couldn't sleep. I'm in New York. You know what time it is here? I'm pacing back and forth looking for your phone number. And I said, all right. And he said, I'm going to be in town on July 1st. Let's meet. And I met with him. I told him my story. And I said, and he started laughing. He started laughing at me, and I asked, Les Brown, I'm being like vulnerable and serious with you. Why are you laughing? And he said, because you've hit bottom. You feel like you've hit bottom. I said, Les Brown, I'm at the bottom. And he said, you're at the bottom of a higher level, and there's nowhere to go but up from here. He said, I'll put an event. You put an event together, I will show up. We're going to call it Fight for Your Dream. Get 100 people there, and I'll show up. I said, what? All right, cool. So I had 21 days to put this event together. July 23rd, 2029. I got like 400 people there. I convinced the hotel not to charge me until after the fact because I had no money. I was like on a mission, dude. I got like 400 people there. I gave a speech like my life depended on it. And I made enough money to pull my house out of foreclosure because my house was already in foreclosure. They're going to sell it already, auction off on July 24th at like 12 p.m. Bro, I made enough money to pull it all out the next following day.
Wow, my God.
And he became my mentor. He put me in a program called Discover Your Power Voice, where he took me on a speaking series to go speak to people, to thousands of people. I came out on a book that I'm a little embarrassed of because my writing skills back then weren't as good. I was just so excited. It's called Meeting Les Brown, and I have a chapter in there. I was all excited. I'm an author, you know. So if you tell me today, I would have wrote a different story. Right? I think I wrote like a little bit of me being a victim. Oh yeah, this happened to me, blah, blah, blah. But instead of like, hey, but yeah, victim to victor, right?
That's okay.
But I love the fact what you said right now, because a lot of people are going through that. You know, they feel that the rock bottom is literally like the rock bottom, but you're the rock bottom at a highest point in your life where you're right. The only place to go is up.
Yeah.
And you got to go up.
Yeah. And the only person that can stop you is you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's about your perspective. Like, you're living your purpose. Don't think it's all going to be cakewalk. Oh, man, you're going to go through some rough things, but are you going to give up? And if you don't give up on the other end of that, it's powerful. It's powerful.
Wow.
And it's not about the arrival, because I arrived. Wow, I shared the stage with Les Brown when people told me I wasn't going to make it happen. But then what happened is like I don't want, like, a sadness started to kick in, because it's about the journey. Like, it's not about the arrival, but everything that I learned about the journey, about me struggling to be there, started to teach me who I am. And then I started to then share the stage with Les Brown, and I started to realize that everybody needs to live on purpose, with a purpose. Now, if you're not living on purpose, you're going to be depressed. People are saying, I'm depressed, I'm not happy. I'm going to tell you why, because you haven't found your purpose, or a purpose to live. You know, and my purpose is to serve, to transform my city, the city that I once turned upside down, to now leave it better than what I found it or left it.
Wow. and
I love it, man.
I know.
Wow.
I'm like getting super excited about what you're saying. Like, I don't know if it's excitement. I think it's just like motivated, probably is the right word. But I also read that your journey now, you know, fast forward 3 years from 2009 to March of 2013, you were selected out of 22 applicants to fill a vacant seat at City Hall.
Yeah, and that's powerful, and I was just fresh out of Les Brown. I was still doing stuff with Les Brown, right? And I remember some of my friends, they're residents of Commerce, and they work for the city, and I it was when the whole like brewery thing first like started up, and this was in 2012, and we were in downtown. And then what ended up happening was one of my friends said, man, you know, there's one missing council member. He has 1 year left. And the Governor Brown just took this program called redevelopment, which was millions of dollars would go to these cities, took it away. And then he started to take properties away from all the cities. And my friend said, they're going to lay off like 100 people. And I don't know what to do. And he said, you know what, Ivan? And he knows my story. He saw my story. And he said, Ivan, you know what? Man, if anybody could do it, you could do it. Dude, you should apply. And I said, yeah. Well, he goes, forget it. I don't think you'll make it. That's what he said. Oh, tell me that, bro. Go ahead and tell me that. So when he told me that, I said, oh, no, I'm going to apply. I'm going to show you that I could. So, and that was like, we had a 2-week period. They sent out these applications. I filled it out, and I showed up, and 22 others were there, right? And I was like, there was no way I was going to be intimidated. Like, I had already thought about it. I prayed about it, and I said, man, if God wants me there, he's there. And I was a planning commissioner, and the meeting was held on Tuesday, and on Wednesday I had a planning commission meeting, and they asked me, Ivan, are you going to show up to your planning commission meeting? I said, no. They said, why? I said, because I'm going to be a council member on Tuesday, so I'm no longer going to be a... And they said, stop messing around, Ivan, seriously. I'm like, being serious. I won't be the next council member. So they canceled the meeting. They were like, Ivan's crazy, right? But I showed up, and they had interviews. Then they maybe took like 10 away. Then they had more interviews. Like, you had to show up individually. And I was stuck in a room with everybody in the beginning. And
wow.
I told them, hey, if it's your time, it's your time. Yeah. However, it's my time. You know, so when I went up there, and I just like, bam, talked about like, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to change the city, blah, 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 this and that. And at the end, there was like 3 people left, and they interviewed us. But now we were able to sit while they're making their votes. And one council member, they already had a plan. They had a plan for somebody else. So they said, "No, I'm going to appoint this person." And there was only 4 council members, so 2 voted no, 2 voted yes. So it was like weird. And then, all right, who's next? So they didn't. I don't think they wanted me right in the beginning, and so they voted. They got someone else, and it just wasn't working out. Then someone just said, all right, Ivan, I want Ivan, and one person said no, and the other person said yes. So I had two votes. I needed the third vote, and my son back then, I don't know, he was like 5 years old. He said he did a Jedi mind trick that he said, vote for my dad. And I taught him to be a little Jedi. I taught him to be a little Jedi, dude. That's how I lived my life, a Star Wars guy. I thought I was a Jedi all my life, dude. So, like Yoda, he's my mentor too, dude. So what ended up happening was, so they appointed me. They said, all right, Ivan, and bam, they immediately grabbed me and said, we're going to swear you in right now. We have a closed session meeting, an emergency closed session meeting that we got to talk about. I knew nothing about closed session meetings. I knew nothing about nothing.
So you were appointed.
I was appointed my first year.
That's pretty cool.
And then I showed up. They swore me in, took me straight to closed session, and said, we're going to lay off 100 people. And I was like, what? I said, hey, wait. I said, what do we need to do? They said, we need $1 million to fix all this. And I said, that's easy. And I said, we could create $1 million. And they're like, I remember the city manager said, that's impossible. And I was still fresh out of Les Brown. Said, impossible? They forgot the apostrophe between the I and the M. I'm possible.
I love it, man.
And the councilwoman that moved first to bring me up, she goes, I think we made a mistake. And ever since, that's the way I live my life. That's the way I run the city. I transform the city through my way of being. I live on purpose, bro. I live in the front. I'm creating transformation. It's about changing stuff. If not me, then who? If not now, then when?
Yeah. So you didn't know that you were being appointed to a broke city. That's funny. You would think that they would have reserves or something.
They did.
Yeah,
They
okay.
did.
You just need to
They're
pull it
playing the
from
part.
somewhere. Yeah.
Government.
Yeah.
Save the money. Yeah.
But in reading your bio, I'll go back to it again because I was reading about you and I get really excited because again you talked about one of your projects that you were heavily involved in, which was the Citadel Express, and so we want to hear about that.
So that's within 3 months of me being in office, where I said we create $1 million and being able to do something when they said it was impossible. I showed that it is possible. Is that I created a bus, an opportunity. I started to meet with the city manager. I said, hey, what if we ask the state or whoever's in charge of the buses to give us a bus? I got an idea. We can make money. We could pick up the people at from the Citadel Commerce Casino. We can go straight to the Bonaventure, Staples Center, the Union Station, major hotels, and bring all the tourists and everybody to shop at the Citadel and stop at the casino. We'll make more money, right? I'm thinking business, right? And my city manager was like, no, they'll say no, we can't do it. So then I started going behind his back and talking to the director of transportation, and he said, I'll make the calls for you. They called and they said, no, we can't do it. They hung up, right? So then he gives me the news, and then I said, okay, well, call him back and tell him this, right? And he did call him back. He called him like 3 times, and he said, man, this council member doesn't leave us alone. We're going to give you a bus, and we're going to pay for it. So basically, they gave us a bus, and they paid for everything.
Wow.
And it became successful that now we have 2 buses that they gave us, and they pay for everything. They pay for the funding. So it's a free bus. And it goes into these areas and brings in tourists, people from other countries. I remember France called City Hall and said, yeah, we like to rent your bus. Oh, no, it's for free. We're because they're staying in downtown. So we got tourists on it all the time, and it brings in revenue.
Oh, Citadel is huge.
So what opportunities are you creating with that for the Olympics? I'm sure you're already thinking outside the box for that.
Well, right now with the Olympics, which since I've been elected, I would say 13 years ago, because I did 1 year, then I had a run for election and I made it, and I'm on my 3rd term, and I like to say this, that see God, the way I see it is there's universal laws bend in my favor, and Les Brown taught me that. I was supposed to serve 12 years. That's like an ordinance. That's the law of commerce. I'm gonna do 15 years by next year. I'm still on.
It's okay.
I'm still on. But what I'm saying is that things like that happen to me. And if you believe that universal laws bend in your favor, they will happen. If you go by the rules of everyday people in society, what they create for you, then that's how you're gonna live in that box. But I live outside of it. I live outside of it, and that's the way I live my life. And so going back to your question about the opportunity, so I've been trying to really bring art, like create an arts district in my city for like 13 years, but it always got denied by city council because we didn't have the money to do it. I get it. But still, I still at least wanted to start somewhere, just small pieces of art. And it was so difficult to start. But then we had new elected officials, some a little younger, that believed in the arts. So we created the arts district. And we raised $2 million for art already, and we're spending it on our walls. We probably have like 15 to 20 murals right now. Wow. And I just got out of a meeting 3 weeks ago with one of the business owners that owns about 100 buildings on Washington Boulevard, main boulevard in the city of Commerce, between the 7, 10, and 5. And we're going to start to put art in those areas. And then I also was able to, with my colleagues, we created a brewery and culinary district in 2 different areas. So we're trying to build to attract people from the Olympics here in our city. Nice. Because it's unfortunate that the Olympics isn't really doing much in our city. I mean, we push Olympians out of our city. We have the gold, the silver, bronze by a resident, Brenda Villa, that won in water polo in swimming team. I mean, we create Olympians in the city of Commerce. But I'm not sure what took place. We weren't at the table discussing what cities were going to be involved. And I think it was in the 1980s, the Olympics did pass through in front of my house, in front of City Hall, with the torch. They were running with the torch through our city. And, unfortunately, it's not happening this year, but we want to create stuff that will attract the Olympics. And so we're
I mean, that's a great shopping area.
Yes.
I mean,
the Citadel's. Everyone knows about the Citadels.
I used to go there back in the day, and it was easy to park. Now it's so hard, but it's so different. It's changed so much, and it's a very beautiful area too. I love all the stores that you guys still have there. They're nice stores, outlets to go shopping at. So congratulations on that area, because it's really come a long way.
I'm excited about this, and I'm just happy that you came on, because at the same time that you are sharing your story and even sharing the things that you've learned and where you and how you where you are now, I mean, it's just motivating us. I know it's motivating us because we're quiet. So even if you might think like, why are these guys quiet? Because we're like absorbing your energy and everything you're giving, because this is amazing. I mean, because your story is somewhat of my story. I mean, I wasn't too much into, I didn't go to jail and all that stuff, but I grew up around in La Puente right here, you know what I mean? And you grow up with what you are, and you run with the people you run with. And to hear your story and to see that, it's just, and hear you now and the way you speak and the things that you're saying right now, I'm like, you're hitting home right now, because we talked about these things the other day. We were just talking about certain things of just motivating myself and getting out there.
I still say that he moves to West Covina and he runs for office. We need people that are real. We need people in office that are real. And I will never stop saying that. We don't need pretenders, pretending that, because city government, local city government, you are considered a politician, but come on. I mean, I'm not putting anybody down or anything, but you can make a real difference in serving, especially if you want to go up the ladder, to go into other, other areas, and other areas. But I've seen so much. I mean, I used to have an office at City Hall, so I got to see all the back end stuff. And let me tell you, I was happy at one point, really happy with everybody that was serving, because they were go-getters like yourself. They had great stories. Our city was thriving. I mean, it was thriving. Now, I'm not even ashamed to say it, but shame on our city and the people that have chosen to represent us, because we're underrepresented. The people are underrepresented, and our city is not moving forward. And that makes me sad, because we have a lot of great businesses here in West Covina. So I always say, elect people that are real, that are hungry to make things happen in a positive way, right? I say, JR, man, he's got some great ideas. I shut him down sometimes, but
I know her for over 15 years. I would come in here because she knew I did production. So I would come in here and she would be like, "Oh, JR, I need you to do videos for me." And I come and man, you're GWC, you should be doing this. That's not my vision. Okay, I have my mission and I'm staying. So we wouldn't talk for about 6 months to a year. And then she'll call me up. I need your videos again because she would like kind of like I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna like, man, I see this happening, this man.
Because they would come with so much energy. I'm like, I don't have to.
And then she during COVID, she finally accepted me during COVID.
Yeah.
Of all times. No.
All right.
But it took a while. But then now she's allowed me to implement a lot of the ideas I have and the things that we do and stuff.
But he's a giver. He has a great vision for a lot of really great stuff, and that's why I say, you know what, if you would, you could easily be a city council member. I mean, people. I mean, we just need people that are real. We need people with great stories, people that can make things happen, that are not just sitting being yes people and no people and this, that, and all that little game. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I will never run. I mean, there was people that said, let me prepare you, let me help you. But no, that's not my character. That's not my life. But I would love to see someone like, JR, serve in at that capacity, because I think it's a great way of giving back to your community.
Absolutely. And JR, I mean, I'll ask you a question. I mean, what's holding you back from doing something like that?
You guys go through a lot. I see the council meetings and stuff, and I'm just like, man, that's some tough skin right there.
But you have tough skin.
I do.
You just don't know it.
But in life, you go through it anyways.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
what bigger impact? Let me ask you. Les Brown once asked me this question, and he said, "Do you know where the most wealthiest, the richest place on this planet is?"
The grave.
Exactly. The grave. Why? Because you take your purpose with you. You take your books, your recipes, like what you were supposed to do. So basically, people are robbing mankind from their greatness. They're taking it to the grave. So what's you could ask yourself a question: is it possible for you to be okay? So and that's what Les Brown told me. He just said, is it possible? I don't care if it's 1%. Is it possible? If the answer is yes, then brother man, it is possible.
Yeah.
And imagine West Covina transforming through your purpose, what you're here to do. People, he had once, his son, John Leslie Brown, told me, most people, everybody is born unique, but most people die a copy.
Ooh.
Oh my God,
Ooh.
that's so beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
if that doesn't open your eyes, and then I don't know what
Well,
is.
that's motivating
but-
me even to do more here, because sometimes, even doing what we do now, it's it gets repetitive. You start questioning, is this what I'm supposed to do? But then when we have individuals like you come on here, it just sparks it all over again.
Yes.
It sparks it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, we could be our worst enemy. We hold ourselves back, right? And because it's a fear. And I mentioned the fear. What does it mean? False evidence appearing real. Like, dude, we make things up about ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't think we're good enough. No, I can't do it. But look, if I would have, I'll be honest, if I had in the beginning, if I had to say, I'm going to run for city council and go through everything they went, I probably wouldn't do it because I didn't know how, right? I was like, no, I don't know. But I was appointed. I mean, I was like, God said, hey, buddy, it's your turn. Boom. What? Like, I was like, wow, thrusted into leadership. And then I now ran campaigns and stuff. And if you ever want to move in that direction, I mean, I'll get you connected with the right people that'll be your right mentors to get you there. Because it is hard. It's being an elected official is hard because you're dealing with because a 5-member council, you're dealing with 4 other personalities. And everybody has a passion to do something and in their own way. And then you start to fight about, that's not right. And then what happens is when you start to fight, your community and city pay for it. Because then you get nothing done. And then the younger generations and everybody start to see that you guys are fighting. Then the city starts to fight amongst each other, residents arguing on Facebook, all this. So it's better to learn. And I'm blessed that for the past 2 years with this new city council that we are working together for the first time in my now going close to 14 years. that we've worked together, changing our community.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's wonderful to hear, because I want to go back to when I saw that here, in our own local city, because I was a resident here as well. So that's why I had the right to, voice my opinion. But no, I give you all the credit, and I say, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your
Yes,
story.
thank you so much.
You motivated us. You gave us hope, and not just that. I mean, you're Latino, and it's so nice to see that people have this kind of passion, to change themselves and change your communities through what you've gone through, and it's gosh, I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Is there any last words that you want to share to anybody out there, or even us?
Well, I mean, just like I say a couple of things, like where you are in life, really take a look, right, and journal, and start to create like what you see possible for yourself, and what's in the way, and seek out to some mentors that have been through it, and it's just like there's a book called like The 5 Love Languages. Have you guys heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
People who struggle through relationship and things of that nature. And I mean, I'm blessed to have met my wife 11 years ago in Coronado, which she like is an attorney, and she's like graduated from these universities, and she's interned at the White House, and she's worked for the governor, and she's done so much that if I wouldn't be who I am, I'd be intimidated by a woman like that. But no, that woman empowers me. That woman supports my growth. So also take a look at your relationships and see who's around you, and are they doing something for you, or are they taking you down? And it's time to sometimes do a cleanse around you. And they say if you're hang around with 9 negative people, chances are you're the 10th.
That's right.
Or 10 broke people, chances are you're the 10th.
Yeah.
Right? And so reach out to a mentor.
I love it. Where can people? So people could go on can they go on their social media, find you on social media, find you on all the? I'll put all your social media stuff up, but they could contact you if they want to talk. Because I think a lot of people are going to want to talk to you. Coming, I'm sure you're
including you,
including me. We're going to stay in contact. I mean, man, City of Commerce, man, you guys are very lucky.
Yeah,
my goodness.
There's one last thing that I want to know, because you did mention, and this just you don't have to elaborate too much, but I know that you're writing a book. So tell us.
Oh yes.
I'm the thing about me is I'm writing many books, but what happens is that sometimes I stop myself because I don't believe in myself or what. But I have journals of a lot of books that I'm writing. But the book that I do want to write is going to be called From Juvenile Hall to City Hall, and that one's going to tell my story about me growing up and how like I learned like the art of war, which through my grandfather fighting in Guadalcanal, the starvation islands, fighting in Korea, and fighting in Vietnam, and me blessed growing up with him, doing almost 30 years in the military, and he instilled all of that in my head growing up. So to be strategic, and you can use that in business, you can use that in different areas, because it's not about a war, doing bad stuff, but it's about peace, about how do you create the balance and become successful in many areas of your life. But I'm writing a book like called like My Conversations with God, because I believe like there's certain things that I whether it's true or not, I had to put this story in my head in order to believe that these universal laws bend in my favor, because this is what God wants. So what's going to stop me, right? And when you walk like that, dude, you walk with purpose, bro, and it's you become unstoppable. But if you use it for greatness, if you use it for good, I think that you will start to attract the right people in your life. You'll start to attract the things that you want. It's not all about money and this and that. It's about living your purpose, and the money will come.
That's right. Live in your purpose, and the money will come.
Yeah, and my social media stuff, I have one, Torch Bay on Instagram, Torch Bay 1. And what I do a lot of cooking there. I take apart Nerf guns and I cook with my torches. Big torches.
Dude, this guy's creative. Mayor, you're creative. I see dudes right. Mayor, you're creative. My God.
No, but thank you so much for for joining us, for sharing your story. We really appreciate you, and oh my God.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. Yeah. Any last words?
All right. Any last words? Let me see. I just.
You're just excited. It's good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited like you're excited. But listen, I'll tell you what. My last words is this: if you're looking to transform your community, my phone line's open to you, and I can find out who I know in these areas and just set you on the right path. And if getting you in, because you have to believe you're going to get in, and not if, when you get in, then I will be a mentor of yours to be there with you to help guide you, and to help keep you sane, and how to keep things neutral, and to just transform your community.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
This has been an amazing conversation, and I'm very happy. I really believe this is one of my favorites. It's going down one of my favorites
I know
and
that
stuff.
for a fact.
Well, if you think of me, wait till my wife comes here.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's like, wow, that much more than me.
Man, I'd love to. Yeah, well, bring your wife back for sure, and then we're gonna have her here, and then we'll even put you right next to her, so we can just have a dynamic duel type thing,
and
just
a powerful story on how we met.
I would love it. Well, thank you so much, Mayor. I really appreciate it. And Mayor of City of Commerce is in the studio, and we're gonna bring more city officials of different cities, and anybody you might know that have great stories. Just bring them on this show. I mean, this is what we want to do. We always want to share stories like yourself to people out there, because there's always people listening that are going through a rut, but hearing a story like yours, it just makes their day or their week or their month, and now they're just provoked to do something greater. But thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, every Monday 7 a.m. we'll see you guys next week. All right, bye.
All right.
Thank you so much for watching Let's Connect Now. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And if you want to be a sponsor, contact us today.